Okay, so Anne has very kindly offered to share her soul contract and her husband's soul contract to see a little bit about any potential clashes in the marriage. And we'll get you talking a little bit about this, Anne, in a second. So, just for a reminder for anyone watching this, Anne already knows, but in your soul contract, you have two different sections, the physical and the spiritual. This is a reminder for you, Anne, as well.
Yeah.
And it normally doesn't look like this. It normally looks a little bit different. It looks like a Star of David, like this. But what we're doing today is an overlay reading. So this is a reading on the client's name and all the relationships that she has. So this is a way of understanding how your energy relates to the people in your life. So the physical is normally something that comes through earlier in life, and the spiritual comes in later in life. And the karma, just as a reminder, is probably what you find most challenging, but it is your seed of potential. So karma is often really, it can feel really sticky, really challenging, like, oh, why does this painful thing keep happening in my life? Why can't I shake it? And it's about leaning into the karma. And all of the numbers 1 to 22 in the soul contract system, I'm sure I've shared this with you before, they all have a positive and negative aspect. So think of a wheelbarrow and you have the negative and the positive. And we're always trying to bring the numbers into the positive aspect, all the benefits and the great qualities, a big list of them. And then we got the talents. And the talents are what you are really good at, but they can be a bit hidden within us. Like we don't fully bring them online. So they need to be activated. And normally we activate them through having an awareness of them. And then we can really go running with them. And the more we know our talents, the more we can reach our goals. And our goals are what we are really here to achieve. And they can feel a bit challenging. They can be a little bit karmic because goals are, reaching the heights. It's like, oh, my soul wants to get there. And then we've got the soul destiny. And the soul destiny is an amalgamation of all of the karma and the talents and the goals, all the energies in the systems. Okay, so we're just going to give a little overview of your chart first. So this is Anne's birth name here. This is her commonly used name, so without the middle names. And this is your married name. And then this is your husband's birth name. And then this is your husband's commonly used name without any middle names. So I'll remember all of these, don't worry. We normally write them in the descriptions. I decided not to. So first of all, talking about karma, and you have this lovely big 22-4, which is a very high frequency number. And this is all about coming into completion of yourself, your soul, and source. And sometimes people can have a little bit of a tough time in their bodies with this number. So I always ask people, if you're happy to share, did you ever have a tough time grounding into your body when you were younger, or coming into full acceptance of yourself?
Yeah, so the first thing is in terms of grounding, I've always known that I'm quite lots in the head. A lot of holistic people have picked up on it, that it's all up here. So I've worked a lot with yoga and stuff on grounding, and started it when I was quite young as well. There was the second part to your question, so that was more the grounding. What was the second
Coming
part?
into the body, acceptance of self.
The acceptance, that's been a little bit of an ongoing topic. It's as if life has thrown things at me to make me realize I haven't fully accepted myself just when I thought I had. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's continuous, I'd say.
It's a very, very, very strong energy, the 22-4, but people with this talent, they can access all the multidimensional parts of themselves to provide, they're here totally of service. And Anne is a fabulous kinesiologist, and it's funny because I got 8s in my spiritual karma here as well. And 8's all to do with grounding, coming into the body, feeling emotions, because often 8s will do anything but feel their emotions. They almost feel like they're trapped on earth, like, why am I here? This is awful, the suffering. I don't want to be here. I don't want to commit. Don't want to put my feet on the ground. And I got into kinesiology, which is all about connecting the mind to the body. And so did you. And I found that really interesting that both of us with these karmic 8s have found a therapy that we love, which is all about connecting mind to body. And it's a lot about grounding.
Okay.
So yoga and things like that, really, really beneficial. And coming out of the mind, which always tries to analyze things, and coming into the feeling. 8s can really struggle to actually not process things and analyze them in their minds, but to come into the feeling and the healing of them in their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And they're your soul destiny as well. So you're going to be feeling this number pretty strong. 8s are very much, they're a very strong number, but they have such empathy for others. So I wonder, you know, and also, can you feel other people's stuff quite easily? Are you very sensitive to sort of?
I can. I've just had it today. Somebody walked into my clinic, and I could feel immediately they've had some kind of trauma. They had a really bad crash 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
I often have my hand on my heart or my chest when somebody walks in. They've just lost someone. So yes, very much so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful thing that 8s are so sensitive, so empathetic, so giving. Sometimes they can struggle with boundaries. So I wonder, has this ever been something that's come up?
Not boundaries in terms of, not in terms of what other, picking up on other people's energy, but general boundaries.
Yeah,
Yes, and
general boundaries. Yeah.
very much challenged on that front in the last 2 weeks with a close family member. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was all about boundaries. And I think people think that I'm quite a confident person and have those boundaries. And I sometimes think I do, but I clearly don't always communicate them either clearly enough or calmly enough, maybe.
Yeah.
But that person definitely wasn't aware of my boundaries. Yeah.
The thing with 8s is we don't want to disturb the peace. We don't want to upset people because we can feel them. We can feel their emotions. We can feel their pain. We can feel how they're feeling, and we don't want to upset them or disturb that. So we're keepers of the peace, but often at cost to ourselves, which I'm sure you've experienced.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have as well.
Yeah.
And you know, with family, it's a big thing. Let's talk about your beautiful talents. You've got these strong 9s. 9s and physical talents are possibly the best place to have them. This is pure dragon energy. It's completely connected to source. It's intuitive, it's creative, it's healing, it's everything's woken up in the body. And it's all about how to use that power and overcome any, because sometimes talents can be a bit karmic. So I wonder, has there ever been any slight disempowerment where you've given away your power and you've had to sort of take your power back, you know, assert your strength?
Yes, again, I think there's yeah, I think that's why this incident with the family, again, that fits into that category as well. So very much, yeah, very much challenged on that front in terms of the power. Yeah.
And I bet
I'd say.
when you stand up for yourself, when you speak your truth, I bet it's a very strong thing for people to receive, because the 9s, when they're in their power and they're flexing their strength and they feel this full protection, this full connection, they can be very powerful. So have you experienced when you've done that and people have been like, oh,
Yes, and people, I think that's why people think I'm really confident, whereas actually I'm very vulnerable. I might still be confident, but I am quite vulnerable. But sometimes in terms of the flexing power, I have been told when I do, I just don't do it in the right way. So that's definitely a learning point, I reckon.
Well, sometimes I tell you what might happen, and I don't know if this has happened to me, when our 8 boundaries get so squished and we're right up against them and people have invaded us too far, then it's like this anger that can come out and lash out, because it's like, God, you've invaded my space so deeply. I just have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's quite a bursting of that anger, just as if somebody's taken the lid off the pressure cooker.
Well, you've also got sixes in your commonly used name, and sixes can get quite angry and frustrated. They're very, very creative. So yeah, are you? Oh, hang on, I've just seen you've got eights here as well. I knew I saw them somewhere else. Strong eight energy. I love it. Yeah, sixes. This is the short name. So we only look at the top three because it's repeated here. It's a short name that you have. Six is very creative, but yeah, they can get a bit angry and frustrated and sort of. Okay, so the 10 ones, beautiful, high, masculine, Archangel Michael, godlike energies coming down. This is spirit in motion. This is holding space for others, which I know that you do through your work. A strong stability, that's that symbol. And having a dedicated spiritual practice to ground yourself to receive these super strong energies. I know you said you can be quite ungrounded.
Yeah.
You've got very strong energies coming into you. I don't know if they sometimes feel like there's so much coming in, there's so much downloading, there's so much intelligence.
It often feels like it's too much to process.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I've got my analytical brain always coming in, which doesn't help. And
Yes. Yeah, and with your 11 twos here, you're going to be trying to make sense of everything and put it in an order and a structure. And 11 twos can sometimes struggle with not necessarily learning, but sort of putting things in place and making things make sense. But the 10-1 energy is purely to be of service, really, really beautiful. And the one thing I always watch out with the 10-1 is not to be too perfectionist or self-critical. I don't know, it's very Virgo energy, the 10-1. That's the sign that's linked to it. So I don't know if you ever feel like maybe you're a little bit self-critical or you judge yourself a little bit.
I do, but I think I can be proud of myself at the same time as well. Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And the last thing, the 21-3, is you're really here to overcome big challenges. And with this 3, it's a master number, so it's very strong. You're here to share. This is the symbol. It's like a hole in a tree. You're here to share deep soul wisdom and share it out with the world and communicate it and share it with your voice. And you're here to absorb lots of information as well. So it's this lovely sharing and absorbing. And linked to the 4, this is all about teaching and sharing. The 4 energy is duplicating and taking in knowledge and then sharing it in a more expanded way. So it's really, really, it's a lovely goal to have. And it sounds like when we were speaking earlier, you've had, a couple of challenges in your life that you said felt a bit one thing after another. Yeah, it's that 21-3. But it's, you're here to create great durability. And 3 is a teaching number. It's a teacher of teachers. This is what this 3 energy is.
Okay.
Which I really, really like, especially when it's in your spiritual goal. So it's the ultimate pinnacle of your chart, a teacher of teachers. And with the soul destiny of 8-8, you're really here to create heaven on earth. You're here to connect with people. You're here to ground. You're here to embrace yourself and come into all those deep feelings that don't want to come up with the 8s, and just create great joy in your life on earth. It's a very physical vibration. So I don't know how that sounds.
Yeah, well, it sounds intense, and my life is intense, but good, exciting, intense.
Yeah, perfect. So let's look at your husband. So a little bit of an overview. There's just been a few clashes. Okay.
Yeah, over the last 4 years, increasingly, and with a parent involved in it as well, but over the last 2 years especially. So some tension caused through that, but that's really, I think that's just amplifying the issue.
Okay. So just an overview of your husband's soul contract. This is his birth name here. He's here to learn emotional resiliency and to be an architect, to be a builder, and to find balance with his emotions. Oh, very much so. He's got two 11 twos here. 11 twos are very much being supportive to others, but needing to find that inner resilience within themselves rather than becoming overly dependent on others. And they can go up and down in moods sometimes because the 2 is very bouncy, but they also provide a great amount of support for other people. He's got lots of 5 energy. 5s, 5s, 5s. 5s have to speak the truth, and it can come out. They either struggle, interesting. They either struggle to speak the truth.
He really does, to the extent that he's in denial about a lot of stuff. He really believes that, problems don't exist.
Yeah, what's happening is, oh, sorry, what was that? What doesn't exist?
That when there's a problem, absolute denial, not in terms of I want to deny this, but I literally cannot see it. So total denial of,
Okay, so these lovely 8s that you've got here,
if
you notice he's got the same amount of 8 energy in his chart. You're both trying to keep the peace, and he's definitely trying to keep the peace with these 5s. 5s need to assert themselves and speak the truth, and often they want to speak the truth, but they want to keep the peace, and it creates this great tension within them, and it can feel really uncomfortable, and it feels like he's very sensitive with these 11 twos. I don't know if he is or not, but
he is, but you would think it when you see him.
It's just sort of, I think it's behind the surface. So, 5s can have a little bit of a harder exterior. So can 10-1s. They can be quite harder on the outside, but underneath, they're a little softer. And I feel like the 8s and 5s are all about him needing to keep the peace, needing to speak the truth, and needing to assert himself, not being able to connect more deeply with how he's truly feeling. Because
that's very true.
The 8s don't want to feel, and the 8s just can feel like feelings are the worst things in the world, and they will do anything but confront them. Anything. He's also got this got a little bit of a clash here with your 11 twos. So this is your married name. So what happens is your birth name is the cake of your life, and then you get each name that you have, like your commonly used name, a married name, a name change, just like layers of icing that infuse in. So your 11 twos, this will just be a sensitivity clash, I feel. And there's also you've got 5s coming in on your birth and on your married name that clash with his 5s. Speaking the truth, sensitivity. This is where I'm seeing a little bit of a clash. And he's also got these big 9s. He's got this power. He's always, I feel like with his 9s, it's about coming back into his power if it's in the karma here. And he might have some intense relationships in his life because 14-5s can have a lot of intensity in their lives. There's also this big 10-1 energy coming in, and the 6. You've got quite a few similar numbers you can see. And it doesn't always matter. Normally I say if they're the same numbers in karma or goals, we call it a karmic clash or a goal clash. But sometimes when there's so many similar frequencies in two people's charts, they can sort of have this a little bit of tension. So if there was one thing that is the tension between you that's causing problems, what would that one thing be? We can see where it sits in your charts.
I personally think it's quite relevant that he doesn't allow himself to really feel his own emotions and connect with them, and then be able to talk about them. There's a lot of fear with him, fear of me suddenly saying, right, it's over, So just, but sensitivity, you know, that's it. Where's the biggest clash? Misunderstanding each other.
Okay.
Actually, I mean, I can say something and he'll say, you're attacking me again. So just, but that's his sensitivity. Yeah.
It's just managing these 11 twos, and it's just managing that sensitivity and giving him space to speak might be really, really helpful.
Mhm.
So it might be that he feels your strong old nines over here. And remember, nines are big, powerful energy. Now, fives are the opposite. Fives are very powerful. They're the same amount of power, but completely different. Fives are etheric power. They're psychic, pioneering, ethereal, not quite landed on earth power. They're a little bit la la la. They can also be completely overthinking things, overanalyzing things. But the nine is a very different energy. So nines can fry fives. So I wonder if he's just feeling the strength of your chart and he's not
Mhm.
quite able to speak. And he's got very sensitive numbers
Yeah.
that are coming through. So many sensitive numbers.
But it's knowing how to get him to connect enough with his emotions and feel safe enough to be able to open up and share. Because
Yes.
he's very used to locking it all away. Yeah.
And that's the challenge. And that's where you can sort of, I guess, encourage him to say, look, our communication is I want you to be able to tell me how you're really feeling. It's safe for you. And fives need a lot of reassurance that it's safe for them to express themselves. They can feel very, very scared to say how they're really feeling. And, you know, and obviously he's got all these deep feelings that doesn't feel that they're all sort of blocked down there.
Mhm.
Eights have to come into their feelings, yes, in a
Mhm.
massive way. So I think hopefully that helped. You know,
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. Yeah.
saw him on a little bit of a deeper level.
Yeah.
And then what's really fun is that we can then go deeper and then we can look at your if there's children, if there's parents-in-law. It's a really interesting one.
Yeah.
You get everyone's birth names and then you start seeing, well, this is why they're like that. I get them now. And
Yeah.
I think there becomes more compassion for why someone is the way they are. And also the last thing I say with your husband, sometimes 10-1s, if they're in a karmic goal position, there might be a history of disempowerment, especially with the masculine, with the 10-1.
Yeah. And that's what I've just recently discussed is potentially responsible for that, so to speak.
Yeah.
How did you just put it? What were your words? History of, or just being
It's disempowerment, and the 10-1 is about masculine disempowerment, and 13-4 is often about feminine disempowerment. Not always, but yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yes,
Yeah.
we didn't do 15 minutes, we did more, but it gets really joyful when I do more. So I'll stop recording now.
Yeah.